Talk with Sean, everybody. Today I have the pleasure of speaking with KG, and we are going to be speaking about relationships and self-love and how the two actually intertwine with one another. So I want to thank you so much for accepting my invite, KG. It's a pleasure having you.
Yes, yes. It's a pleasure being here. Likewise, I thank you for the invite. I'm excited to talk about some real stuff today. Hopefully, help out some listeners. And yeah, I'm excited to be here. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And as we all know, our experiences when we're an open book, they definitely can help the next person who may be struggling or going through things that they feel like they're all alone. But
Yeah.
us being open books, we actually help people out when they are going through things, and that's one of the reasons why I do this. So yeah, I appreciate you for being an open book. I want to go back to like your last relationship because what prompted me to actually reaching out to you were several of your TikTok videos that you posted, and at the time you were going through a breakup that was really breaking you down, and you were really grieving that relationship. So can you
Yes.
tell us about a little bit about what led up to the breakup?
So, what led up to the breakup? Whew, okay. So, pretty much, life just start life in. I feel like a lot of people don't take in account of, you know, things happening in each other's lives that can affect relationships and whatnot because that's what basically happened. Life just started taking a turn for me, career wise, mentally. I was diagnosed with um, bipolar disorder and borderline personality disorder. So like I said, things happening in my life that kind of trickled into the relationship. I think that's what led to the breakup. It was a lot for, her to handle. I think that, again, life be lifing. And it takes someone to really love you. And I think, and not even necessarily care for you, but that can take on the role of being your crutch when life starts life in, because it takes a toll on your partner too, what goes on in your life. And so I think, like I said, just going back to it, I think that the things that were happening in my life that were kind of taking a toll on me, it trickled into the relationship. And I think it was just too much to handle.
Okay, understood. I can
Yeah.
understand that, and I can also understand it from her perspective as well. Before I even assume that the relationship was with a female.
Yes, yes, it
Okay,
was.
I think I heard you mention her. I don't know, but
Yeah.
so yeah, I definitely can understand things from her perspective as well. My thing about that is, did she communicate that with you? Like, did you all communicate about how it could have or was taking a toll on her?
Yeah, there were brief mentionings about, things taking a toll on her, or, it just being an unhappy environment, an unhappy relationship. And now that I look back on it, it's one of those things where it's like, dang, I wish I really, paid attention or listened. But at the time, when you're in the midst of the chaos, it's kind of hard to, hear what somebody's just screaming in your face because you're thinking about everything else and you're not really thinking about what's in your face. So, yeah, I think that's what pretty much happened. Yeah.
So did you blame yourself? Like was part of your grieving process? There's one thing to grieve about, the ending of any relationship, whether it be a friendship, a parent relationship,
Right.
and a romantic relationship. But did you blame yourself as you were grieving?
I think I was, especially in the beginning because everything happened so drastically. Like it wasn't one of those breakups where it's like, okay, we breaking up on Monday, but I'll talk to you on Wednesday or
Mhm.
third. Like a trickled out breakup. Like no, it was kind of like cold turkey. It's a wrap. No more communication. And I think that definitely took a toll on me because it makes you look at yourself like what what did I do or what could I have done differently to prevent this outcome, because nobody wants to be in that type of predicament. Like it's not fun to be with someone thinking that you're building a life with someone for it to end drastically because of a decision. It's not like, lives are lost or something, detrimental in that aspect, but more so just a decision, a choice is what caused so much pain. So to answer your question, yes, I definitely blame myself at the beginning because I just felt like, if I was different, if I handled things differently, it would have been a different outcome.
Mm-hmm. And I like how you mentioned you reflected on self, because at the end of the day we can't control anybody else except self. And
Right.
so that's a big part, because most people, or a lot of people, let me not say most, a lot of people, when they break up, they tend to look at the other person to blame or find faults in them, instead of looking inward at self and what you could have done or what you can do next time to
Yeah.
make things better. So I think that that's really good, that not one time, which we just started, but some people would have went on in, about her, she, instead of I. And so I like that, and I commend you for doing that, not looking at her and only focusing on, like you said, what you could have possibly done better. But at the end of the day, I not to take nothing away from you, because I'm pretty sure you played a part, but the right one that's for you, if unless there were other issues other than the mental health issue taking a toll on the relationship,
Yeah.
then yeah, that just wasn't the one for you. And I think once you're done with the grieving, you kind of start to see clear, and you can see that. So
Oh
has
yeah.
that happened for you now?
Yeah, I think now I'm more towards the ending of my grieving stages. It's been about 6 months, so definitely moving differently, thinking differently than I was compared to when I know you mentioned the TikTok videos. When I first started making those videos, that was August, September, so that was early on, like a month or two in of the breakup. So I was more um in the grieving stages of, denial, anger. I went through all the stages, and grieving someone that's still alive is extremely hard as well. Especially, when they right down the highway, right down the street. It's not like
Mhm.
it's a lot of distance between us, So it's definitely hard to grieve someone that's still alive. And I think now that I'm approaching the end of my grieving process, like I said, just reflecting. It's like when you first enter it, it's just so many emotions, and you just blaming yourself, you just angry at the world. But then once you're nearing the end, you're kind of calmer. You can take a step back, and like you said, you realize it's more out there. I've been here before. This isn't my first rodeo with relationships and love. So it's more so me telling myself, you've been here before,
Mhm.
you found it again, and you found it again. So, just a lot of positive talk, self-talk helps a lot too.
I do agree with that, and I think you hit a several points on that actually. One point being, love, like it can come again, like it's not the end, if people give it a chance again. When you're going through, when you're grieving a relationship, most people are like, I'm never doing this again, I'm never doing that again. And when the smoke clears and you settle in and you start to live your life again and realize that you're not going to die from this, it just hurts. It's just pain, it hurts. It's a part of grieving. You realize, and most of the time you'll meet somebody else and you never thought you would actually get into it again. The same thing has happened to me. Been there, done that. When you're going through grieving, it's like, oh my God, I'm never going to get better. And then one day you wake up and it's like, damn, I feel all
Yeah.
right.
Yep.
So I think that you hit the nail on the head about that. And well, with that, and then you mentioned something about like you're going on 6 months and you're coming to the end of your grieving. 6 months you've been grieving this relationship. Do you
Yeah.
feel that grieving has a time limit?
I wouldn't say it has a time limit because everybody's grieving process is different. You have some people that can grieve for a month or two. You
Hmm.
have people that can grieve for a lifetime. So I
Hmm.
don't think it has an actual limit on there. I do believe that time heals everything. I'm a believer that, in due time things will get better in that aspect. But as far as putting a limit on grieving, I think it's not a limit, and there's not a right or wrong, amount of time to grieve, because everyone's grieving process is different. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I believe that grieving is a part of self-love as well, as long as you're taking that time, as you mentioned before, to self-reflect on the things that you could have done different, where you played a part, and how you can do better moving forward, because life is not over. You get a chance to love again every day we wake up. It's a new day, and so the goal is to be better every day. And I kind of, even at my age, I live my life that way, because I know you mentioned. And I'm going to get to that, but I'm going to mention one of your posts that resonated with me was I don't remember exactly what you said, but it was something about you thought that when you got older you would have all of the answers.
oh yeah.
Now you're realizing that you don't, and
Hmm.
it's okay, and that is true. So I mean, it every day is a growth process, but to acknowledge that shows a lot of growth within itself. Just
Yeah.
to acknowledge that, because we don't have all the answers. I don't care what no adult says. You don't have all the answers, and you're not always right. So I
Yes.
think that that's a good thing. Going through being diagnosed with bipolar and
Hmm.
borderline personality disorder, I think you said, and
Yes.
anxiety.
Yes.
Do you feel
Anxiety.
like that? Do you feel like you blamed yourself, like for some of your actions before being diagnosed or after being diagnosed? And what do you feel like self-love looks like? Or what does it look like for you?
I think self love looks like um just kindness, patience, and grace to thyself. I feel like we are our number one haters, critics, and everything,
Mm,
cheerleaders. Every the good too, the good
mm,
and the bad. But I feel like when it comes to the bad, we have to allow ourselves grace, because like you mentioned a few minutes ago, it doesn't matter how old you are, no one has all the answers, and you shouldn't want to know all the answers, because every day is a new day for you to learn and grow.
good point.
So, with that being said, I think that's what self love looks like for me. Just loving yourself on the bad days, loving on yourself when it's hard to get up out the bed, or you feeling, depressed or sad, or what have you. Um, to just keep going. I think that's an act of self love. And as far as your second question regarding the mental diagnosis or whatnot, um, I feel like I will blame myself, for things that happened prior to being diagnosed, and I'll still, take accountability after the diagnosis. I feel like once I got diagnosed, it gave me breathing room. I was able to give
Yeah,
myself way more grace, because it's like, okay, it's not just you, like it's some things that you didn't have control over. Because I'm not
yeah,
gonna say I don't have control over it, because now, I see a psychiatrist, I'm on medication, I'm journaling every day, I'm taking the necessary action that I need to take to make sure that it's under control. But I know that I didn't know that at first. So I had to give myself grace, because me not knowing myself, my body, was going through my mind, and knowing that I don't have 100% control over that, it makes me step back and be like, okay, like you still human. Like it's
mhm,
okay to be human. It's okay to, experience these things, because you're not alone. It's other people in the world that, experience worse or experience the same thing. So to answer your question, like I said, I take accountability prior to being diagnosed, because it's still not an excuse to, act out, or, be angry, or any of that aspects of things. But it also gives you grace moving forward, because now like, hey, it's not all you. But again, you do have the control to take the necessary actions to not have episodes and things like that. So
yeah. I do agree with that. And you said too, you mentioned, and giving yourself grace. I think that's a huge statement in perspective, of course. You have to give yourself grace in the right ways. And I know you are, according to your posts, and I do look at them. So, um, giving yourself grace is big, everybody. Like, I mean, we do have to give ourselves grace. That's one thing. It's funny at my job, that is preached at my job. Give yourself grace. Give yourself grace, and it's a three-word sentence, but it's so big, you
Yeah.
know. So I mean, that is true. And another word you mentioned was accountability. I think that we all have to take accountability for our actions, because if you don't, I promise you, you don't have self-love, because self-love makes you take accountability. And it's okay, because I know there was a time in my life where you couldn't tell me anything about myself. You can't tell me anything. This is who I am, and I'm a nice person. And, you know, it was just hard for me to receive criticism or take accountability for my actions. I'm a good talker, so I would find the perfect excuse, but at the end of the day, it was an excuse.
Yeah.
And when you have self-love, you don't make excuses, you just do better. You take accountability and then you move forward. You give yourself grace
Mhm.
because you are human. So I think that those two words that you mentioned are huge words. So do you believe that like our upbringing and who we were raised around, the adults in our life, plays a part in who we are as individuals and self-love?
Definitely. I would definitely say that your upbringing and the love that you experienced growing up does affect the self love that you have for yourself now. Because, you know, if you weren't raised around love or in love, it's kind of hard to display that when you haven't, you know, experienced it.
Mm,
I'm a big believer in, you know, experience is the best teacher. So if you haven't gone through that, if you haven't felt that, it's kind of hard to portray something that you've never experienced before.
mhm,
Compared to if you have grown up in love, around love, you've grown up in love, um, then you're used to that feeling. And so when you're
mhm,
used to a feeling, I feel like we're naturally attracting. So if we're used to love, we love love, we're gonna attract more love. So I definitely feel like the upbringing plays a big part in that.
mhm,
Now, is that an excuse for adults not to act on self love or to have self love? No,
mhm,
because once you're aware of it, it's up to you to, you know, to get to grasp that self love, you know. And self love, I feel like it's an ongoing thing.
mhm,
It's not something that you just learn in a day or learn in a year and you just have it. I feel like self love is an ongoing thing because as humans, we're already growing, we're changing, we're forever changing, so we have to learn to adapt to our changes, learn to give ourselves grace for different things,
mhm,
love different things about us. Like I said, I'm about to be 30 and I just got diagnosed with my mental health diagnosis this year, so that's 29 years of me not knowing something, but now something's new about me that I have to learn how to accept and love, you know? So, like I said, I feel like it's forever changing. But yeah, I do think upbringing plays a part in it. But again, as adults, it's up to us to act on the self love for sure. It's
Yeah,
not an
I
excuse.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree with you on that. And you know, because excuses of they don't help when you're an adult. It's I mean, you can make the excuse, but you're not going to move forward. And our goal should be to move forward. And when you know better, you do better.
Yeah.
And whether that means getting into therapy so that you can be taught self-love, reading self-help books. There are so many tools out here and things with the internet age that we're in, to teach you self-love, and now you just have to put it into effect. You have to take the actions, the necessary actions to make that happen. And I feel like you will never live a truly authentically happy life unless you reach that point of ultimate self-love. And it's a forever reaching goal, but you
Hmm.
should always be reaching towards that. And it makes you such a better person when you are striving for that goal because it affects it'll help you treat the people around you or in your life the proper way.
Hmm.
When you lack self-love, it definitely is a it's like you're not living the best life that you could possibly live. How do you feel about relationships like when two unhealed people come together in a relationship? Do you feel like that can be a truly prosperous relationship?
I feel like as long as both parties are willing to make it work, um, it can be prosperous. No matter if they're healed, unhealed, if two individuals are on the same page, and they're willing to make it work, I feel like it could be prosperous. Now, with them both being unhealed, will it be a hard process? Probably so.
Mm,
Yeah, because being unhealed kind of stirs back into self love. Self love, knowing that you're unhealed, knowing that you're still processing things, going through different feelings, going through different emotions. You would kind of realistically have the self control not to even pursue anyone to be in that predicament of possibly getting with someone else that's unhealed,
mhm,
because you need to work on yourself. Um, so two unhealed people together, you the self love that they have for themselves could be kind of questionable because at that point they're going to be leaning on each other. They're going to be um what's the word I'm looking for? They're going to be shoulders for each other to cry on,
mhm.
and it's hard to be a shoulder for someone to cry on when you crying yourself. It's hard to fill someone else's cup when your cup is empty.
Ah,
So,
that's
um,
interesting. That's
so
good.
it goes back to the self love thing. Like if I know that I don't have anything to give right now, I know that I'm, you know, emotionally unavailable. I would be selfish. I would be selfish to give whatever I have left to another unhealed person.
That
Um,
that I agree. And
yeah,
with that being said, like I just, and I'm not against it, of course. I mean, hey, we're always, growing, but I just feel like two unhealed people coming together. When you said make it work, and I do agree it does take work. I'm not sitting here saying that you meant make it work, like go through anything and suffer and sacrifice self. And I don't think you meant that. I know exactly what you meant in perspective with make it work. Um, but I just feel like two unhealed people, it's like it'll be very hard. I just feel like the best relationships will come from people that are healed and two people that truly practice self-love because then you know how to love someone that they need to be loved and not what you feel how they need to be loved because we got to love people on their terms the way that they need to be loved and not what we feel. And I know that was something that I struggle with because I thought that I used to do everything right. I'm doing it, but I'm doing it my way, not the
mm,
way that who I say I love needs to be loved. And I think that's a big thing. And again, it comes from that plays a part in self-love because when you have self-love, you can accept that. You can
yeah.
accept that you need to love somebody the way that they need to be loved. So I do understand what you meant though about the two unhealed people coming together. Going back to and I know this is all for relationships, guys, but I just want for those that out there that don't know, tell me explain to us what bipolar is and what borderline personality is. And were you
Yeah.
diagnosed from a doctor, a psychiatrist? Like what was your diagnosis or who diagnosed you?
So, the process is I've been seeing a therapist for like the past 7 years, and the people around me, past relationships, past friends, they just kept saying like you need something else. Like therapy is cool, but something's not, something's not right. You need something else. And so I started looking into a psychiatrist. and it was a very drawn out, long uphill battle trying to find a psychiatrist, a black psychiatrist at that.
Ah.
But finally found them. Once I found them, I did the testing. It was paper and pencil testing, like a
Mm.
full blown test, and I ended up getting my results back like a couple weeks later, and the diagnosis was anxiety, borderline personality disorder, and bipolar disorder. And at first, I was in denial because
Hmm.
I'm like, when you think of bipolar disorder, you think of the movie. I don't know if you ever seen the movie Switch, or just
I haven't.
at least from our community, the black community,
Yeah.
you mental health is not talked on at all. And when you hear bipolar disorder, you automatically thinking the, schizophrenic or so,
Yeah.
like you just thinking the worst.
Hmm.
And so I was definitely in denial when, I first got my results back. But then um after a day or so, it kind of dawned on me like, that test wasn't taken on a computer. So there weren't any type of malfunctions or anything like that.
Right.
That that test was
Like there
on
wasn't no
paper.
malfunctions.
Yeah, like that test was on paper. I had that pencil and I circled in those answers. So that's how I was feeling. That's how I felt. So I had to kind of take it to the chin and just accept it for what it was. Um, but basically that's how I got diagnosed. So I have been diagnosed by a psychiatrist. Um, Results and everything were sent to me. But as far as what actually it is, so it's two differences between borderline personality disorder and bipolar disorder. It sounds the same, but it's different. And actually, borderline personality disorder is I don't want to say worse, but it
Oh
it
wow.
controls you more than bipolar disorder,
Hmm.
which I didn't know until I got diagnosed, of
Hmm.
course. Um, but basically, it's just different, me experiencing different mood swings and not necessarily knowing why. Like I
Right.
could just be in a calm state, chilling, and all of a sudden, like I just feel depression. I just feel sad. I just feel, and then I could be happy on top of the world just off life. Nothing particularly has to happen. Like I just feel happy off
Right.
life. Um, so it's just different mood changes. But like I said, it's not like the movie Switch where it's just like it's just constantly switching on and off. Nothing like that. Definitely a little bit more like irritable to certain things. I guess you could say I'm more what's the word I'm looking for? Not irritable, but like I'm just more prone to feeling different emotions.
Hmm.
Just compared to the average person, it might not bother them like it bothers me.
Right. Right.
So yeah, it's a difference between the two. But bipolar disorder, definitely, it's not as bad as the borderline personality
Wow.
disorder.
I just learned something. So
Yeah.
the borderline personality disorder can rear its head daily, depending on your emotions and what you're going through. And bipolar disorder, I'm assuming, is something that comes in spurts, I guess.
Yeah, I guess you could say spurts. I don't know if you're familiar with the term like episodes, when people say, "Oh,
Yeah.
I just had an episode" or something like
Hmm.
that. Um, Bipolar disorder, it definitely comes more in spurts, whereas borderline personality disorder, I'm dealing with my emotions, my feelings on an everyday basis, and that's why
Mm.
the medication is taken daily to kind of alleviate the up and down, where it's just at a constant. But yeah, it and I will say the medication plays a part too,
Mhm.
because prior to being on medication, I was all over the place. Like my nervous system was just horrible. And again, I think this is what played into my relationship failing, because if my nervous system is all like I'm lashing out on you on not even on purpose, but just because it's just too much going on internally for me. But when I'm on the medication, it feels more copacetic. Like I can deal with it. or I
Mhm.
can not necessarily deal with it, but I'm not experiencing those spurts of up
Yeah,
and
yeah.
down
It's like you're
emotions.
normal, like
Yeah.
you're a little. Okay,
I'm
okay.
unbothered.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And I think that is a big thing in the Black community in particular. And I know different generations, we tend, we start to change and accept things and do more things because in the Black community, going back to slavery and as far as that, we didn't have nobody to diagnose us with anything. And so we had to just push through. And so as we've evolved over the years, um, now your generation is definitely accepting things that are going to therapists, going to psychiatrists, which I feel is a part of self-love, even my generation, but it was a little different. We're starting to come to it because I do believe that medication sometimes can be, nobody wants to be on it, like it's not a, like you just want to be on it, but if it's helping you live a healthy, what people consider normal life where you can get up and do the daily chores and things and your emotions are in control, I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
And again, I do believe that plays a part in self-love because you're doing what is best for you to be able to live the best life that you can live from a mental standpoint.
Yes.
Because I tell you, your mental can take you out more than your physical.
Oh,
If
definitely.
your mind is not right, then your body is going to follow that. So I think that was I'm proud of you for actually getting diagnosed and taking that, doing what was best for self and
Yeah.
making sure you took the necessary steps to be diagnosed and to get on the medication. Because some people, like you said, you fought it in the beginning.
Yeah.
But look at you now, and you're living to me, a healthier life doing that, a mentally healthier life. The test, I didn't know that. So it's literally a written test that you take to be diagnosed. When you take these tests, I mean, of course, you want to be honest with the questions, but what if a person is like just putting any answer, you know what I'm saying? And they're not authentically like I just find that I didn't know it was as simple as a written test that you're answering questions to be diagnosed.
Yeah, it's a fill in the blank test. It's about over 100 questions long. Takes about like an hour and a half. I think they give you 3 hours to finish it. So it's a lengthy test. So there could be people that don't take it as serious or they start getting tired and just fill it
Yeah.
in, whatever. But if someone does that, then that tells me that they're not serious about their self. You know what I'm saying? They're not serious about their self love, their
Okay.
self help, because at the end of the day, that's something that's supposed to be helping you. It's supposed to be giving you answers that clearly you're searching for, because that's why you're seeing a psychiatrist anyway, because you want answers to know, why am I not doing things or feeling things normally.
Mm.
Um, so with that being said, yeah, the test, it was fill in the blank. Like I said, it took me an hour and a half to finish. Um, and yeah, it the thing about the test though is, of course, it's asking you questions on how you feel now and like how you felt in the past like couple weeks or so. So it's kind of tricky because let's say you've been a happy person,
Mm.
pretty much the entire year, and you just started feeling, negative emotions, depression, sadness, what have you. Um, they could kind of misdiagnose you because they're going off of recent answers compared to how you've been feeling like all year.
Mm.
So that's something that I've heard when I talk about, my diagnosis, people say stuff like that, or they'll ask if I've thought about going like natural ways instead of taking the medication and things of that sort. And I'm open to getting retested at
Mm.
a later point when I feel like, okay, my life is manageable. I can manage my life. Like let's try to get retested to see if anything will change.
Right.
Um, and let's see how I am without the medication. If I can find natural remedies, that's just something that I'm not looking for right now because at this point it's in the beginning, and I just needed
Mhm.
the help. I got the help. It's working. Okay, cool. We'll revisit this, at a later date.
Yeah, I think that is awesome. Like, I mean, and a decision that you made for yourself not letting anyone talk you into something immediately, taking your time and doing what's best for you in this moment. And like you said, you're not opposed to it, but I'll revisit that later on. Let me get stabilized and
Yeah.
be where I need to be in my life, and then we'll revisit that later because I believe in both. I mean, nobody, like I said, just wants to be on medicine that the government has made for us to, but they're diseases of the brain, just like they're diseases of the liver or the colon or the ovaries. And so these medicines are the same thing as somebody taking chemotherapy. I mean, it's a medicine that's helping your brain function right. Whatever that chemical is that it's lacking, it's emitting those chemicals back into your brain. So I think that it's a necessary thing, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But the hell, if I'm trying to live an unhealthy life, I'm trying to live as normal as what we consider normal to be.
Right.
Let's talk about a couple of your TikTok videos that resonated with me. I'm looking at one that I really liked that said, life gets hardest right before blesses the blessings test you, but well, hold on. Setbacks, the silence, the days that feel heavy. It's not punishment, it's preparation. It's life stripping away what no longer fits. Explain that to me. Like I love that's one of the ones that I love. I don't remember exactly what all of it said. I don't want to just
Yeah.
but like y'all gonna go, we gonna get all our information, we gonna get all that at the end. And so
Yeah.
y'all check out this young lady. Like I love her page and what she's doing with her life.
Thank you.
Explain
Thank
that one video to me.
so pretty much it's just basically just motivation, inspiration, just inspiring, you know, my followers, the community that I built around self-love and healing. Um, Basically just letting them know that God will test you before he blesses you. You know, a lot of the times when we're in a season of negative, so either being sad or you feel depleted or whatever the case may be, um, sometimes we lose sight of that there's a bigger blessing at the end of all of this turmoil. Or, sometimes God will take things away to give you something better. Um, just kind of speaking on that, trying to motivate the next person. Um, One thing that stayed with me from a therapy session was my therapist. She said when people are flipping homes, when they're demolishing everything inside the homes, they got to take everything out right before they
Mhm.
start moving new stuff in. So that's just how life works. Sometimes God is getting rid of everything that no longer serves you to make room for the newer thing, the upgraded things, the newer things. You're not gonna put new things in an old house or, like a demolished house. You're gonna make sure it's cleared out before you start moving the new stuff in. So that was just kind of the takeaway on that video, just kind of giving people perspectives that because a lot of my followers, and I get a lot of DMs about people that are feeling low. I feel like they need to know, it gets better. They need to have a different perspective that the cup isn't half empty, it's half full. So
Boom. I freaking love it. And I love that I don't even have to touch the other videos. They all say different things, guys, but they still resonate around that. But she puts it in different perspectives. So because one thing may not resonate with another the same as it resonates with someone else. So that meaning that you said, like God is clearing out all of that so that he can bring in the new, so that the new can be brought in is so big. And I mean, because you may feel hopeless, but that doesn't mean it's over. It's just a trial. You got to push through and keep going. And you never know, something new is coming, and that something new may be way more than what you expected when you were just about to give up. And
yeah.
actually, life really does work like that. I mean, you can be in your lowest of lows, and it doesn't apply to everybody because some unfortunately give up before their blessings could have been right around the corner.
Mhm.
But for those that are in this to win it and continue fighting, and that's not to take away from those that we've lost because they felt like there was no way out. I definitely am compassionate and have empathy towards those individuals, but for that's not the way. Like you gotta keep pushing through life's trials because there's a blessing around the corner if you just push through. And I do feel that self-love plays a part in that because when you have self-love, there's nothing that can stop you. There's nothing that can hold you back. You will push forward through every obstacle, but that comes with growth and self-love and reflecting on self, not focusing on what somebody else did or what your parents did to you, because that is there and it does play a part. But now, as an adult, you have to move forward because you can only control you. And so,
Yep.
the best thing you can do for yourself is find that self-love within yourself. And I tell you, when you find that, no relationship can hold you. If you see the red flags, you're gone.
Yep.
You're not sticking around. You don't owe anybody second and third chances. You can do that if that's what you choose, but when you have self-love, and that's why I said to heal people to me, in my opinion, make a better relationship because they tend to treat each other the way that they want to be treated. I mean, they really use that. There's a meaning behind that. When you have self-love, you tend to live that way. So I just but just like guys, don't give up out here. Keep going. Find self-love. I love what KJ is doing. And it was a pleasure speaking with you, KJ. But one last question before you go that I gotta ask you. What made you come on TikTok and like share that grieving process? Because this world is very judgmental. But
Mhm.
again, with self-love, you don't care about that because you're living
Oh
an
yeah.
authentic life. What made you have have that in you to actually share that grieving process?
When I was in college, um, I had went through my first heartbreak. And what brought me through that season at the time was doing spoken word. So I think I
Oh,
have like two poetry videos on my TikTok, but mainly it was on Twitter at the time. That's how old back in college I was on Twitter. But they're still there to this day. You can check them out at one Casey Green on X or Twitter, whichever you like to call it. But that those videos helped me in my healing stage. And so I had thought about getting back into poetry this go around, but it just wasn't the same. 'Cause like I think I got a lot of recognition from those videos back then because like people could feel what I was saying because that's what I was really feeling like. I
right.
wasn't faking it. Like this is what I'm going through right now. So like I said, I was thinking about doing it again this go around, but it just wasn't, even though I was sad at the time, it just wasn't feeling the same. And one day, I just decided to post a video of me being vulnerable, just emotional. It actually started on Instagram. I created this video kind of just explaining how my life took a 180. Like I was making all this money, had all the friends, a new house, all of that. And then everything turned to the worst. Lost my friends, lost my relationship, lost the job, like whole 180. And that video did so well on Instagram. And in one of the clips, it had me crying in one of the clips. And so I said, okay, I'm gonna just post this clip and I'm gonna post something motivational behind it because that's the whole reason why I share my story. It's not to have self pity or for people to feel sorry for me. It's nothing like that. It's more so I'm showing you that this is me right now, but in 2 years from now, when you see that I'm a whole different life, just know that no, I came from that. It's not I'm not trying to have a facade on social media or think or make it seem like I got it all figured out when I don't. And so I decided to post that video of me crying, and it just went crazy. Like I was not expect. It's almost at like I think a million views right now. Like I
Wow.
wasn't expecting all of that attention. And then I had another video of me crying. Posted that one. That one did the same. Like it just went crazy, and I think it's because like you said, a lot of people are judgmental on social media, so I think that prevents people from being vulnerable, like how
Mhm.
I've been. Um,
Huge word, vulnerable.
yeah,
That's a
yeah, you
huge
gotta
word,
be
guys.
you being vulnerable, but you're being authentic. The one thing about my brand, my personal brand, that one of the goals that I have set for it in 2026 is to just story tell as much as I can. So I'm being my authentic self. I'm sharing not only the good, but I'm sharing the bad too. So that way people can resonate with me on all aspects, you know. That way I can motivate the next person, inspire the next person. Cause like I said, just from TikTok alone, I've gotten so many DMs and comments of people just like sharing their stories or just
That's
letting me
what's up.
know like how like I really helped them, or you know, I helped them through this tough time, or they was about to give up but they came across my page, like to
Thank
bring
you.
to have my pain and rechannel it back into the world into something good. Hey, I'm all for it. If I gotta go through the pain to help the next person,
And
that's
what?
just, we all vessels, you know, we all paying
What?
it forward. So
What? That was deep. That is
yeah,
so awesome. And I love it when I hear young blacks doing that because it's up to us to pour into us. And guys, that's not to take away from, if anybody knows me, I really shouldn't have to explain this, but I'm going to. That's not to take away from any other race. But we really need us. And
mhm,
so I think that it's good that you're doing that. Um, I think that it's awesome that like you mentioned, you're being that vessel. And the fact that these people are reaching out to you says that you're needed.
yeah,
You're needed. Just who you are is needed out here because people reach out to who they resonate with and who they're comfortable. That's not an easy thing for some people to be vulnerable. So the fact that people are reaching out to you and you're actually responding to them and engaging and empowering and motivating people like that is awesome. And I commend you for doing that. I hope that you continue on this path. I know that big things are going to come for you in this world. And when I say big things, guys, that does not always mean money. It's so deeper than that. Of course, it takes money to live, but it's deeper than that. You know, when you're out here saving lives, talking to people, and letting people know that they matter, that's why I do this. And so I know I see what you're doing. You're noticed. Please keep doing and being who you are and growing in love and self love. And can you tell everybody all of your information? I know she mentioned X or Twitter
yeah.
um, and her information there, but can you just share that again? Your TikTok, Instagram, wherever you are.
Yes, yes. So what's up, guys? My name's KG. You can follow me on all social media platforms, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok. They're all the same. It's gonna be at the number one KASEY green like the color. So that's at one Casey Green on all social media platforms. Make sure y'all follow me, show me some love.
And I mean she means it, and I mean it too, guys. Show her some love. She worth it. You know, she's not negative. For some reason, that tends to get more. I don't know what it is about that, but change that. Like, let's follow the positive. Let's show this young lady some love. I'm telling you guys, if you look at one of her videos, you're going to get pulled in. And I got one last question for you before I let you go.
Yes.
Will you promise to always spread peace and love in this world?
Oh, yes, I promise. I swear.
Believe it. You're already doing it. Keep doing what you're doing. And I really thank you for joining me.
I appreciate you, Sean. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.